rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. You know, in the chat, I was watching the chat as I was getting everything set up, and apparently I haven't had it determined yet, but supposedly G is either cooking on the couch or cooking the couch. We're not quite sure which. We'll figure it out. Anyway, apparently Donald is in Florida. Did anybody check out the photos that I put up of me and Donald? Yeah, I visited the Oval Office and saw the Donald. No, I'm just kidding. It was AI generated. I can't lie. I'm sorry. I took 3 Chevys caricature of myself and had them add the Donald. So had Grok add the Donald. So there you go. Anyway, oh, what a wild week. My goodness. Oh, I've got a few things to kind of wrap up the week here. And then I have some information where the economy isn't as bad as what the leftist wants you to believe. But of course, California itself, California is well, they're having issues and troubles, and we'll hopefully wrap up with that before I'm out of here. But first, I believe, yes, tonight she is over in the green room. That's right. It is My News. My News is up for the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mind, please stand. Oh, it just looks kind of dark in here. I don't even know. I don't know why. But anyway, if you are of mind, please stand. Remove your hat if you're wearing one like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with My News as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, My News, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, attach it to an email, and send it off to me. You can do that by sending it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation. I have 23 of these wonderful items. I'd like to get 26 by the end of 2026. So if you haven't done one yet and are brave enough to go ahead and do so, please get it done and sent in, because that would be really cool for me to make my goal of 26. And if you use your phone to record it, you can utilize the share option. That's the S-H-A-R-E option. The share option, and you'll be able to send it off to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. And, yeah, I'll get you into the rotation right away. All right, let's talk about tonight's headline sponsor. Folks, I am wearing their We the People Liberty Bell men's cotton polo. Here in the studio, we call it the Fat Paws, in honor of our Whiskey Warrior P1, Fat Paws, who passed not that long ago. This was his favorite shirt, and so I am wearing it. Every time I put it on, I'm telling you, I think of Fat Paws. I think of Fat Paws all the time. But if you would like to get your own version of the Fat Paws, you need to head on over to theflagshirt.com. That's theflagshirt, all together, all one word, .com, to get your patriotic shirt. And they have men's, women's, kids made in the USA. They have also the America 250 collection. The America 250 collection. And also a bunch of accessories and things like that, too. All in the fabulous red, white, and blue, as well as all kinds of patriotic symbolism like the Liberty Bell. This one happens to also have Lincoln, the Lincoln Memorial on it as well. But go and check out all of their styles at theflagshirt.com. And if you order $75 or more of their product, you will receive free shipping. That's right, $75 or more of their product will get you free shipping. And isn't that just absolutely wonderful to get free shipping on that? But go and check it out. Go check out mixing my ads, theflagshirt.com. That's theflagshirt.com. And go and get yourself patriotized. I'm skipping buttons here. Anyway. All right, there we go. So, anyway. Oh. Looks like we have a Whiskey Warrior P1 birthday tomorrow. I'm going to have to remember that. Hey, Whiskey Warrior P1s, remind me if I forget for tomorrow's show. Anyway, all right. Now look, if you listen to people in today's, on social media, in today's society, I mean, you've got retrobates like Jimmy Kimmel, who are just using comedy in a very crass way. But there's very few, but there are some fantastic actors, comedians, actresses that are still American. They haven't gone quite all the way left. And one of them in particular is none other than the comedian Tim Allen. I personally, I enjoy Tim Allen's shows. I've listened to his comedy. Obviously, Home Improvement was a huge thing. For growing up because we're talking it was a long time ago. And then of course, you have his Last Man Standing, and you have his other show right now that I can't even think of the name of it, but anyway, his newest one that he's got. So all of those places, and he has basically never really changed from his conservative roots, even though he's done a lot of things in the realm of Hollywood. And so occasionally he'll go and he'll post something online that, that kind of catches people's eyes. And in this particular case, he kind of caught the idea of, or a sarcastic viewpoint of the visit by King Charles. And as you know, King Charles came and gave a report to, or a speech, I should say, to Congress. He visited the White House, talked with President Trump, so on and so forth. And, well, it wouldn't have been Tim if Tim didn't pop in with something like this. So this is his post on X. And he says, it would have been funny to see the facial reactions of an actual king with a No Kings Parade yelling at him. Now, here's the thing, and he posted in for those of you who are not part of or who are on the audio portion of the program, it's a picture of King Charles giving his speech in the chamber, the House of Representatives chamber, with J.D. Vance and Mike Johnson sitting behind him. Now, the thing about it is, and the irony, I think, is obviously lost on a lot of people, because a lot of the no kings protesters who were saying no kings, no kings in America. Well, they're the ones that are the ones that were clapping for the King Charles. So talk about irony. I personally laughed. It made me chuckle. I mean, seriously, it made me chuckle. But there you go. So Tim Allen brings up the absurdity. Well, it wasn't just him, though, because right after he posted that, a few other people jumped on to the bandwagon. For an example, one user posted, the party chanting no kings was clamoring to stand to an ovation or in ovation to a real king. Yeah. So the Democrats giving an actual king a standing ovation. Oh, the irony. Yeah. And then, Representative Greg Steube, who is a Republican from Florida, he posted, I was on my way to hear an actual king speak. Funny how the no kings crowd is nowhere to be found. I guess the outrage depends on who's talking. Oh, yes, his new show is Shifting Gears. That's right. Shifting Gears. Thank you for that, ma'am. Appreciate that. Let's see. The official White House account actually even got into it. Of course. Yeah, the White House couldn't leave that alone. I mean, seriously, that's like a hanging curveball just waiting to be smacked. Here's what they had. They took a picture of Donald Trump next to Charles outside the White House, and they posted 2 kings. Oh, yeah. Somebody's pretty smart over there. They're a pretty fart smeller. Anyway. Yeah, it is the dangling fruit. I know. Dangling fruit. Anyway. Well, speaking about Alan, just so you know, I mean, again, somebody who is in Hollywood and doing great, by the way, but also is still conservative. Remember, earlier this year, Tim Allen posted about his 13-month journey of reading the Bible. And when he finished it, he wrote on X that he was humbled, enlightened, and amazed at what I read and what I learned. I will rest and meditate on so much, I will begin it again. So, yeah. Anyway, so there you go. All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not, to be honest with you. But, I mean, AOC said it, so it's got to be true, right? AOC said something that it absolutely has to be true. So I just, I don't know. Let's take a listen really quick at what AOC said, that, it's got to be true here, folks. Got to be true. Oh, sorry, I wasn't prepared for this part.
And Tucker Carlson is president instead of Donald Trump, would you do it?
I don't know. I don't think so, but it's kind of a toss-up. I'm not really sure.
Okay, last thing then. What do you think we're going to have first? Are we going to have a female president first or a gay president?
Oh, well, we don't know if we've already had a gay president.
Hey, that's true.
I think.
Whoa. Wait a minute. What? What did she just say? What did she just say? Oh my gosh. Really? Well, let's back that up. What did she just say?
Female president first or a gay president?
Oh, well, we don't know if we've already had a gay president.
I wonder, who do you think she might be referring to there? I mean, let's think about it. You know, there's Donald Trump, who obviously is now and was in his first term married to a very beautiful woman. So I highly doubt that one's the case. And let me think. Joe Biden, well, he was married to the same woman for a very long time. Wonder about that. And let's think. Before that, well, before the before guy, there was, obviously, George, I think, H.W. Bush. Yeah. And then before him, there was, trying to go back here, Clinton, I think. And then before him was George W. Bush. And then before him was Ronald Reagan. And we all know that all of them, I mean, especially Willie, Slick Willie, yeah, he was really into the ladies. Except his wife. But there's only one president that I can think of that was in there that I didn't mention. I'll leave that up to you guys, or to anybody listening, to decide. Well, leave it. I mean, again, leave it to AOC to actually even say that. I mean, let's be honest. Anyway, yeah, it's Three Chevy asking you blame him. In terms of Slick Willie not liking his wife, yeah, no, I definitely for certain, yeah, I definitely for certain can't blame Slick Willie for that. All right, well, it's very rare to really get under Scott Jennings' skin. And, I'm kind of surprised that this guy did, but let's be honest. I mean, when you're dealing with these kind of lunacy, this kind of lunacy and these lunatics every single day, like Scott Jennings does on these panels and things like that, where all he's, having to deal with, there has to be a certain amount of decorum in terms of invading your personal space. Now, I got to admit, these two, they're kind of sitting sort of close together. I don't know why. I don't know if the leftist idiot that was to Scott Jennings' left was, just like enamored with him such that he had to get that close. That I don't know. But anyway, what did happen, though, as a part of this panel is, it got a little tense, let's say, in the whole deal. So here, let's go ahead and take a look at what exactly happened here.
To just ignore the law.
The international legal repercussions,
right? If we're talking about that, what international legal repercussions?
This is a war of aggression.
What is international law? Who's enforcing international law?
Who is the aggressor here?
Us. We are the aggressor. We launched this war. Yes.
Okay.
Just because Iran exists.
Did all of U.S. history exist before the last 8 weeks to you, or just...
It started on February 28th.
Listen, we all know...
I mean, honestly, they have been at war with us for 47 years.
We all know that Scott Jennings is more than happy to defend a war with a country that starts with the letters IRA that we are currently failing, that is going to put us trillions and trillions of dollars more in debt. I was only a few years old while you were in the administration defending prior endless wars. Now, this war is failing.
8 weeks is endless to you?
Okay, you said it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks.
You have the attention span of a gnat?
Homie, I debated you on TV 4 to 6 weeks ago, and you said we were weeks away from it. Now you're making condescending remarks because you can't defend the fact that this war is not going your way. Wait, one more time.
Not going
Name one political concession. Name one political concession.
Whoa,
Honestly,
guys,
I'm not going to have this guy's
Everybody, hang tight,
honestly.
Okay? No, everybody calm down.
Okay, so there was the explosive moment. And for those of you who are on the audio portion of the program, as you watch the clip, the young gentleman who is to Scott Jennings' left on the panel, and again, here you can see in this image, I mean, I wish you could, but here in this image, you can see they're like almost on top of one another here. But this young individual is sitting there, and his right hand is getting closer and closer and closer as he is gesturing to Scott Jennings. And I mean, I can't blame Scott for this. I really can't, because somebody is encroaching upon his space. And not only that, but also being a complete moron at the same time. So, yeah. Anyway, let's just say that was the highlight of the entire clip. The rest of this is just a bunch of hens cackling after they get over with. But I seriously, I mean, this kid is sitting here, and yes, I'm going to call him a kid, but this kid is sitting here, and he's essentially saying that we haven't even hit the 60-day mark yet. I mean, actually, I take that back. I think we just hit the 60-day mark. So that's essentially 8 weeks of a war, which isn't really a war. It's a conflict. And I would say we have it well in hand. We have it well in hand. We've pretty much, for the most part, obliterated all of their military, most, maybe not all, but most of their military. We have taken care of most, if not all, of their Navy. We have blockaded them to a point where they are, by all reports, close to economic ruin. Their particular money, and I can't remember what it's called, but their particular money is down to a point where inflation is almost at 100% or even more. In fact, it takes like billions. Well, thank you, Nana, my unofficial producer. Yes, today is the 60th day. Which, by the way, I seem to recall I saw a post that says that Trump told Congress that, yeah, we're done. So he basically hit the 60th day because he's supposed to ask Congress for permission to continue. Although Congress is supposed to be on a break, so I don't know how that works. But anyway, not entirely sure how that works. But anyway, this guy, this idiot here is sitting here saying, oh, this isn't going very well. Well, wait a minute. We've obliterated everything. We've taken out their supreme leader. They put in somebody who we have reports that is literally on his deathbed from the same attack that took out their supreme leader. We have obliterated their Navy, obliterated most of their army. Their economy is almost to crap. They have they essentially have no place to put oil. They're running out of spots. They're like filling it in jars or something and stuffing it in holes because they have no place. They've been pumping all this oil and they have no place to put it. And they can't send it. They can't ship it because we're blockading them. So I fail to see where we're losing here. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. And I don't know where these people get their talking points. I really don't. I really don't. But anyway, well, whatever. I have no problem with what Scott Jennings here did, or what he did. So anyway, this guy, I guess he's a liberal content creator by the name of Adam Mockler, which explains why I don't even recognize him. But anyway, yeah, he's like, 8 weeks is endless to you. And then of course the guy goes, well, okay, well, you said it was going to be 6 weeks. Oh, well, okay, the last week, if I recall, has been under a ceasefire. So anyway, yeah. Right. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that to you because that was a little explosive, sort of. Yeah. Questions are coming in from my Whiskey Warrior P1s, very wise, the smartest audience in the entire ethosphere. Questioning about how long was Afghanistan? Yeah, that was like 20 years, 20 plus years. How long was Vietnam? That was a little bit before my time, so probably, I think it was something like 10 or 12 years. Anyway. Oh, yeah, good point. Oh, yes. So the last 3 weeks has been a ceasefire. And also, not to mention the fact that there's no ground troops in Iran. So how could it be a war if we don't have any ground troops there? So, good question. Anyway. All right. Well, we had another bit of explosive revelations. So, obviously, Todd Blanche has been really... Pam Bondi left, and Todd Blanche is like all of a sudden pretty much done more in the last, I don't know, week and a half, 2 weeks that she's been gone. He probably already had all this stuff up, queued up and ready to go, and she just wasn't letting it go. But anyway, one of the things that had occurred, of course, was the raids, the FBI raids on all of the Minnesota Leering centers and child care centers. Anyway, one thing that is been determined is that, well, Tim Walz and Keith Ellison, Tim Walz being the governor of Minnesota and Keith Ellison being the AG of Minnesota, who have been implicated in the close to estimated $9 billion fraud. Apparently, there now is a Minnesota trooper, a former Minnesota trooper, who has come forward and has admitted that Tim Walz tried to cover up the state fraud, the fraud that was there. According to the National Post, a former Minnesota state trooper has accused state officials of obstructing fraud investigations involving the daycares, alleging the system's widespread exploitation by scammers was knowingly ignored by leadership. So a former state trooper and State Department of Human Services investigator, Jay Swanson, testified that state officials pressured him to suppress findings of widespread fraud. Swanson told the Minnesota House Fraud Prevention and State Agency Oversight Policy Committee on Tuesday that Somali refugees were exploiting the program and that Minnesota had become known internationally as the easiest state to commit such fraud. So, yeah. It was also revealed as well that the DOJ is actually investigating Walz and A.G. Ellison. J.D. Vance made a comment about it and basically said, look, we know they were involved. We just don't know whether or not their actions were criminal or not. So there's some stuff running there. There's some stuff running there. We'll have to see where this goes. We'll seriously have to see where this goes. All right. Sorry, got to wet my whistle there. All right. Well, as I've been talking about on the last couple of episodes, we do know that the Supreme Court made the ruling with regards to using Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act to create specific minority districts in states. And we also know that the left went completely nuts over this. In fact, Timu Obama, otherwise known as Hakeem Jeffries, was standing up there calling out that this was Jim Crow 2.0, which, of course, Chuckles the Clown Schumer also parroted that same sentiment. You know, if obviously the talking points have been sent out to the leftist lunatics. And I've been seeing all over the socials that everybody, of course, is all uptight about this entire situation. Even though what the ruling actually really does, which this is something that a lot of people don't seem to understand, is that the Louisiana court originally told Louisiana, well, you have to make a vast majority black district. You can't just create districts. You need to create a majority black district. And so the Supreme Court, it basically said, not so much that the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act needs to be overturned, because it doesn't, but they simply said that creating specifically majority districts based on race is not acceptable. That's pretty much what they said. And so a lot of these states that are running around, many Democrat states, that are utilizing race as their criteria, their major criteria, in order to create several of these districts, okay, pretty much means that, you know, in a way, that's racist. I mean, let's face it. If you're looking, and this is something that the Democrats, the left, don't seem to understand. If you're sitting here using race as a major reason or a major category or even a minor category, you know, things like, oh, a black person can't get ID. Well, the vast majority of black people have ID because they have to have it. Don't sit here and tell me that they don't. Anyway, to just sit there and say, well, you know, black people can't get ID, that's commonly referred to as the soft bigotry of low expectations. Same thing goes with these districts. You're sitting here saying that a black person's vote is going to be oppressed. Why? Why would a black person's vote in today's day and age, with every single state having zero laws that have to deal with oppressing a voter at all, why is it that you must put in these majority black districts? Or whatever other color you want to, you know, skin color you want to throw in there. You don't need it. You don't need these anymore. I mean, this is 2026 here, people. Even the Supreme Court back in 2013 even made the comment about this. This is 2013. This is not needed. In fact, the vast majority of Americans that I know, they don't even look at somebody's skin color anymore. I can remember back in the 80s when I was growing up that skin color wasn't that big of a deal. It was a little more prevalent back then, potentially, of some people having problems with it. But other than that, I mean, here, we're in 2026 here, people. We're in 2026. Give me a break. Nobody cares about race anymore. And if they do, they're a complete, utter, stupid moron, like the Democrats are. Because it seems like the Democrats are the only ones, and by that I mean the Democrats in government, seem to be the only ones that are all uptight about it. I mean, Wesley Hunt out of Texas, he's like, I have a vast majority white constituency, and here I am, a black man, representing that vast majority white district here in Congress. He goes, the reason why I'm here has nothing to do with the fact that I'm black. He says, what it has to do with is the fact that I'm doing the job that they asked me to do, and I'm doing it very well. And what the Democrats don't want to tell you either is that out of the 60 seats in Congress today that are being currently held by a black person, only 24 of those 60 are actually majority black districts, as gerrymandered and created today. See, the Democrats don't want you to know that. Well, what's really upsetting to the leftist lunatics is the fact that now, because of the ruling, guess what? The Department of Justice is going to get involved here. So the Department of Justice is potentially going to seek what am I saying? Potentially. They are. They're going to seek nationwide enforcement of the Supreme Court's ruling on the Voting Rights Act. So the U.S. Department of Justice is working to enforce nationwide the Supreme Court's ruling in the Louisiana versus Calais, which has now limited the use of race in redistricting under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. So, yeah. Anyway. Following the ruling, Senator Eric Schmidt of Minnesota issued a statement on X urging the DOJ to apply the Supreme Court decision across all states and use it to end illegally racially gerrymandered districts. Schmidt said, "This is what oversight is for. The Civil Rights Division should enforce the Voting Rights Act as an anti-discrimination law, not as a racial districting mandate." So there you go. Yeah. So they're calling for it. And this was in a letter to the department. The senator said that California's new congressional map warrants review to determine whether litigation or public record evidence indicates that race was used in a factor in drawing district lines. He wrote on X, "I am asking the DOJ to identify all Section 2 redistricting cases, settlements, consent decrees, statements of interests, remedial map positions that remain in effect. The old regime cannot be allowed to continue simply because no one has gone back and checked the files." Now, Harmeet Dillon responded, who is, by the way, the DOJ's Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights. She responded to his post and said, "Senator, we are on it. This Justice Department, under Acting Attorney U.S. General Todd Blanche, continues to prioritize equal protection of the laws for all Americans, be it in employment, housing, education, and voting." So there you go. So this is good. I'm telling you right now, man, we're talking about redistricting, and redistricting is going to take over. It's going to be, hopefully you're going to see a flurry of things. Now, whether or not these are going to be enough to affect the 2026 midterms, it depends on how quickly they can ramp this up. It depends on how quickly they can push this through the courts. Now, some places, like I've said in earlier episodes, some places like Florida have already redistricted. Okay. And others, I'm afraid to even look at the chat anymore. Where was I? Oh, yes. Yeah, there we go. My chat is going nuts. But as far as redistricting is concerned, man, let me just tell you, it's going to be interesting the next couple of months. And obviously, Louisiana has already suspended their primaries for now until they can figure out what the heck to do with this. I mean, realistically, all they should do is just go back to their original map and just have the one Democrat district and just call it good for now until the 2030 census. Probably that may end up being the only way that they can do it, or that they can go and do it. But anyway. All right. Yeah. Yeah, we were definitely off the rails there on that one, for sure. Okay, one thing, obviously, one thing that has everybody, I mean, seriously, there are polls out there. We've seen the polls. People who are being polled, unlike what the mainstream media is trying to tell you, people have been polled and they rank the economy as a much higher concern of theirs than things like the Iran conflict. That while the Iran conflict is essentially, the Iran conflict is essentially affecting oil prices worldwide, but outside of that, the vast majority of people are saying things like, well, we should go and make sure that they don't get a nuclear weapon. And, we really should make sure that they aren't no longer a threat in that region. Unlike what the mainstream media wants you to think, which is that, oh my gosh, everybody's against Iran, the Iran war. No, they're not. Your average American, your average mainstream American has nothing to do that. Okay. Now, all of that being said, the economy being a concern of the American people, you get things like this, which cut down the mainstream narrative. U.S. economy rebounds with 2% growth in the first quarter. Consumer spending, exports, and private investments supported economic growth in the first 3 months of 2026. Yeah. So the U.S. economy registered a solid rebound in the first quarter after a disappointing end to 2025. New government data released on April 30th shows. The first quarter domestic product growth was 2%, up from the 1.5% reading in the fourth quarter, according to the Bureau of Economic Analyses. Before the release, the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta's GDP Now model indicated the growth would be about 1%. The consensus forecast suggested a 2.3% expansion. So consumer spending, meaning that we as consumers didn't stop spending. So obviously we have disposable income here. Okay. We have disposable income here. So consumer spending, net exports, meaning stuff going offshore, and private investments contributed to the January through March growth rate. Consumers continued to open their wallets, with spending was up 1.6%. The public has contended with a series of headwinds, from higher gasoline prices to severe winter storms, but all of that may have been offset by, get this, the 11% increase in tax refunds. Think about that for a second. Consumer spending is up because of, and potentially due to, the tax cuts. Oh my gosh, talk about a Reaganomics kind of thing here. But when you cut taxes and you cut regulation, what happens? Oh, the economy starts to move forward. Not to mention the fact, and don't forget, not to mention the fact that the take-home pay wages have actually outpaced inflation since Trump has been in office. Now, granted, maybe not by much, but they still are doing so. Unlike under Biden, well, that was below inflation. We were actually losing money working. Well, further indication of the economy also is that the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are on the course for the best month since 2020. They're on course to end April with the biggest gains since 2020, highlighting how resilient corporate earnings have helped steady investor nerves despite the historic supply shock in the oil markets. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe that oil isn't going to bother our economy that much. I mean, it's bothering it, yes, but maybe it's not as bad as what the doomers and gloomers seem to think. Yep. The rally shows that investors are leaning heavily on earnings resilience to look past geopolitical turmoil. But that increases the risk of a potential quick tumble if companies begin to signal that war-driven costs are squeezing growth. Well, as I just said, we don't have any indication that consumer spending is slowing down. So obviously, consumers have extra money in their pockets. Oh, from those tax cuts. Forgot about that. Anyway. Well, speaking of gas, and I'm not talking about fuel in your car, but natural gas in particular. Okay? Natural gas. Well, for those of you who may use natural gas for heating and all these other things, I guess the U.S. is producing so much. You won't hear this in the mainstream media. The U.S. is producing so much that, well, it's actually, suppliers are actually paying retailers to take the gas. Yes, that's right. Natural gas from West Texas. Natural gas from West Texas is underwater. We're producing so much natural gas that in one hub in West Texas, drillers are actually having to pay customers to take it. Prices are in the negative. Wow. Oh, this is according to Axios here. Let me just show you. This is something unexpected, and that Axios is even saying it because Axios is a left-wing source. But here, if you take a look at this graph, you'll see that down here, the price, what does that say? Oh, the price is -$7. Wait, what? -$7.04, according to that chart. Oh, and I told you I have the smartest listeners in the ethosphere. Bonnie points this out, and she is correct. Because now that it's getting hotter outside and people don't need that much natural gas, we're now cooking with it, not heating it. Heating with it. Yeah. Anyway, according to Axios, they're saying that the big picture, the negative price tag, is an indication of just how well positioned the U.S. is when it comes to coping with the energy shock of the Iran conflict. So even Axios, the left-wing idiots over at Axios, are like, hey, you know what? America's pretty well insulated. Now think about this. The Iran war, we don't get our oil from Iran. The vast majority of us don't. Who gets oil from Iran? Oh, our enemies. Like China. Like Russia. Wonder if maybe that was sort of thought through and possibly planned. Even according to Bloomberg, says the natural gas bounty not only insulates the U.S. from war shock, but it actually creates an economic tailwind. Oh, wait a minute. God, we can't have a tailwind. I'm telling you, we can't have a tailwind here. Boy. Anyway, per Bloomberg, it says cheap supplies of gas, a key manufacturing input and major player in meeting power demand from artificial intelligence, stands to give the U.S. an edge over countries facing fuel shortages. I wonder who they're talking about there. Oh, potentially China. Oh, no. Anyway. So while prices, this is in the Axios piece, while prices at the pump get a lot of attention, and rightly so, natural gas is increasingly important. It now accounts for about 40% of all U.S. electricity generation and is powering the AI boom. Now, the glut of natural gas in West Texas stems from a surge in production over the past 15 years that has far outpaced the pipelines needed to move it out of the region. This isn't the first time that the prices turned negative. By the way, gas is a byproduct created during the oil drilling process. And there is new pipeline capacity that is set to come online with more gluts, possibly could be on the way. So there you go. I guess we're not in such bad shape as what the doomers and gloomers want you to think. Well, here's an example. You know, everybody complains about the gas prices, and believe me, I'm up there with you. Okay, everybody does. But one of the places that seems to complain the most happens to be in California. Now, let's just say, if you happen to live on the border of California and Arizona, well, you may actually be smarter to go fill up in Arizona. The New York Post has a story. They interviewed a gas retailer who is on one side of the border, the California side, and is basically has very little business. And there's another station, two other stations, I should say, that are just, one other station that's just 1.8 miles apart. But because it's crossing state lines, well, you sit here and you listen to the doomers and gloomers, especially the ones who are in Congress, and they're saying, oh, gas is so high. And then, of course, they show you a gas price from, like, California. Well, here's an example as to why. If you're a California driver and you cross over into Arizona, you can save almost $3 per gallon on gas. Now, California is sitting there and they're trying to tell you that the California gas prices, oh, that's all Trump. That's all Trump. And while I completely understand that there is a possibility of, prices moving because of the global price, and I went through this whole thing not too long ago on this show, there is a global price of oil that is a part of it. But places like California, Oregon, Washington, New York, what do they all have in common? Well, they're all Democrat-run states, and especially California, Oregon, and Washington. They are all warriors for the green energy, and they go after gas. Now, California Congressman Vince Fong rightfully calls this out, and he says, well, Californians are being overtaxed and overregulated, and that the results of Gavin Newsom's energy policies are higher prices for working families. So the California Post was there as drivers crossed the Arizona border to save some serious money at the pumps, shelling out $4.09 a gallon for gas that they would have had to pay close to $7 a gallon if they had remained in California. Yeah. So California is rocked by some of the highest state gas taxes at at 61 cents a gallon compared to just 18 cents a gallon in Arizona. Now, residents in California are also charged an additional $34 to $44 per gallon for emissions fees, climate programs. So that's like $1.50 on the high side. Or I'm sorry, $1.05. Yeah. $1.05 just in gas taxes, emissions fees, climate programs, all of those other things. And Representative Fong, of course, pointed that out, and he's like, California drivers are being overtaxed and overregulated at the pump, plain and simple. Now, the problem, of course, you would think, okay, well, Californians love their electric vehicles, except there's only one problem. The electric grid in California, especially when you start getting into the summer months, you're going to be running all those ACs. Well, guess what? You're going to have brownouts, blackouts. You're going to have times where you can't charge your car because the grid itself can't handle it. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, when you sit on the border of a state that has low gas taxes, well, now you can actually see where your prices are really going, because pretty much everybody pays the same in federal gas taxes. So, yeah. Anyway. This is just crazy. And you sit there and you're like, where is all of this coming from? Well, it's coming from your state. Here in Washington, we pay, I think, something around 50 cents per gallon just in taxes alone. Anyway. Well, the other part where all of that money is headed, where is all that money going? You're thinking, oh, we got all this money. Well, how about this? The California Train to Nowhere. Apparently, this project, which started in 2008, is approaching what they're calling the track laying phase. But they got new estimates now, and it's going to cost $231 billion to do. So the California High-Speed Rail had an initial bond measure and initial estimate of about $9.95 billion back in 2008. And what it was supposed to do is it was supposed to connect up San Francisco and the Central Coast by the year of 2020. It's 2025. They haven't laid a single track yet. And the budget itself has shot up an additional $128 billion. Well, actually $135 billion. Yeah, it's going up. And they haven't even laid any track yet. They're now facing renewed scrutiny, according to this piece in Front Page. They're now facing new scrutiny because state leaders recently revealed a dramatically higher price tag, now having it estimated at $231 billion, which was nearly 7 times the original $33 billion that was approved originally by voters in 2008. Yeah. Okay, sure. 33 billion to 231 billion. That's like 200 billion over your over budget. Man, I would love to work in government and have that kind of budget. Oh my gosh. Could you just imagine if you had that kind of money just for yourself and your family? Yeah. Anyway. So the train itself is obviously just going to keep going up price. The tracks are, getting closer. They're approaching, according to a Newsom press release that was last year, approaching the track laying phase. So, and the tracks, by the way, are supposed to be between Merced and Bakersfield. That's where they're going. Look those up on the map. Seriously. Anyway, I don't know where their money is going. I really don't. I have no idea. Why was it? Anyway. Well, it's California. What do you expect? All righty, folks. That is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor. If you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com. Get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or in the case of 3 Chevy, either a thumb sideways or a thumb at an angle across all of my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 hour later on the Saturday show. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.